Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, the goodest of boys are here, and I got to Master 1 with this deck. So yeah, I just ended up grinding out, and got to Master 1 more recently with the Purrely deck, and it was difficult at first to learn the deck, and then it became a cakewalk to basically get up to Master 1. I never really deranked. I think I deranked once in, like, Diamond because there was a just wide variety of... No. After I started playing this deck, I never deranked. But yeah, the very strong, very good deck, and has insane comeback potential, insane going first, insane going second, just insane. So yeah, basically that's all that I wanted to show you. And I wanted to show you the basically end build. I kind of did the first build, which was very bad, and then I kind of brought it closer to what I think a good list would be for the metagame. So I'm going to quickly go over the... I've already done the explanation of the actual individual cards, but I'm going to go over some of the choices in the deck list and why I chose them. So starting off with the just generic stuff, we're playing 3 apiece of basically every Purrely card, that being Purrely, Purrely, Triple My Friend, Triple Happy, the Pretty Memory, Delicious Memory, and Sleepy Memory. All of this is just standard. However, as you've noticed, I'm playing 42 cards, and that's because we're playing 2 Stray Purrely Street. This is basically always a necessity. You should almost always be playing 2 of this. It's just so much better. So yeah, just... it came up so often where having the second one mattered a lot, either because it was easier to find with something like the Purrely excavations, or because one had already been banished or destroyed or something like that, and being able to get it back onto the field mattered significantly. So yeah, very strong there. The target protection is so very good. I'd play 3 if it wasn't just a dead brick that didn't really help you in your combos. Next up, we have the 2 Yeep, which I believe is also not standard. But I do believe that as of right now, since we do not have the Purrely Noir, which can search out the Yeep, I think that this should be a 2 of. And the main reason for this is because, again, it came up quite a bit. Both the on-field effect, but also the graveyard effect, both came up quite often. Being able to tag out your monsters matters quite a bit in the combos that you can accomplish. It allowed me to draw 4 multiple times with the Plump, being able to have 2 Sleepy Memories, either from having just drawn 2 or having the Stray Purrely Street attached in a second Sleepy Memory, which is very good, and then also tagging out during that standby phase into the Noir, which then Noir can also draw an additional 2 off of the Sleepy Memory, which basically makes it so that you draw 4 cards there, which is just crazy, and really did help this deck quite a bit. So there's that. Yeah, those are the 2 cards that I think everyone should basically be playing. It's 2 at this point. And then also the shuffle back mattered a little, but it was very nice just to be able to, like, shuffle cards back and know that I still had another Yeep, and I can, like, discard this one to and not have to rely on, like, hard summoning a Noir. So there's that. Very strong. Came up a couple of times where I would, like, dodge a Bestial, which mattered quite a bit. Anyway, that's it for the Purrelys. Let's move on to the actual tech cards, or the non-engine in the main deck. I decided to play lots of hand traps, as you can see. We're playing Gamma, which is just the best card to beat Max C. If you don't, just rely on monsters to summon additional monsters, but if you actually rely on spells and traps like we do, it's very nice. You can go, oh, I'm going to activate my Delicious Memory, or I guess not Delicious. I'm going to activate my Happy Memory. I'm going to activate my Sleepy or my Pretty or something like that, and my opponent's going to go Maxi, to which I will then chain the Gamma and just kind of stop the Maxi. I'm not playing anything in the extra deck for that, but for the most part, I think that that's fine. Just being able to stop that, and also having just a good going second hand trap is very nice. Also, you're not too upset about seeing Driver because you could just discard it. It's not really that big of a deal. You just discard it, and it's not going to cause too many issues for you. Next up, of course, Triple Maxi, Triple Ash. This is pretty standard, but we're not playing Called By. Called By is just not very good in this deck, mostly given the fact that you can kind of just play around the Maxi quite a bit, and a lot of the other hand traps that do hurt you are specifically things like Imperm, And like, yeah, I guess technically Effect Veiler as well, but for the most part, they're not that big of a deal, and you can play around them even without the called by, so it's not really that great. So yeah, being able to play around Max C pretty effectively while also being able to play through other such hand traps means that called by just isn't really worth it. Next up, we have the, I guess I'll do the last hand trap. I'm playing Imperm. Why is this not Effect Veiler? Yes, you can draw into the Effect Veiler, which then makes it live, but Imperm is just much better going second. It's much better at being able to draw it into it on your first turn, and stuff like that. It's just better in most situations, except for when you specifically draw it off of like a sleepy memory, in which case I'm like, it's really not that big of a deal. Having an additional hand trap, I feel like, basically, if you don't die, as long as you have more cards in your hand, you're probably better. So yeah, that was mostly what it was. It's decent, but Imperm just is better as a hand trap, and I preferred it. Obviously, the 1 Pot of Prosperity, just a crazy card. And then 3 Triple Tech. This is, honestly, right now, almost everyone should be playing at least 2 to 3 Triple Tacks. This card is very good. Being able to steal something like a Noir in order to go into a Zeus of your own is very good. The fact that it's a non-target take is really, really crazy. That plays around so many different things, right? And I know what you're saying. Noir is unaffected. Well, yeah, only if it's got 5 materials. So if they shuffle something away, you go, okay, cool. Now you don't have the necessary materials. I'm going to go Triple Tack and force you to either waste your materials or just get a big Zeus, which is really, really strong. On top of that, being able to steal basically anything is also nice, which is also why we're playing Donner in here as well, to be able to basically link off whatever we take with that. On top of that, if your opponent drolls you or something like that, being able to look at their hand and be like, that one is very nice. If you need to, the draw to is also fantastic, because basically any quick play then gets you more or less full combo, which is very strong. So lots of stuff like that where it's just like, yeah, every single one of these effects is very fantastic, and there's very rarely an instant where specifically drawing this going second happens to be bad. Also, because just having an additional card to discard isn't bad going first, this is still a good card going first, and it's just overall a great addition to the deck. As for the extra deck, we're also playing 2 Brow. This card is just good, just being able to discard it and stuff like that. It's also a normal summonable monster, which comes up occasionally if you have like Delicious Memory, but honestly that very, very rarely comes up. Most of the time it's just, hey, here's a card to discard so that I can draw an additional card and basically reset that hand, which helps a lot. Moving on to the extra deck, we're playing 2 apiece of all of the Purrelys. It came up almost always. Just having that second name, whether that was for the Prosby so that I could banish things and be like, okay, well, now I know what I have, or more specifically, like my opponent deals with 1 and now I can have that second one. Especially Plump. Plump came up so often having the second one. My opponent would deal with the first one, whether that was like a Gamma or an Imperm or something like that, wouldn't really be able to use it very effectively, and then all of a sudden I could just make the second one and make sure that I had it with a Delicious Memory or what have you. So very strong there. Obviously 2 Noir, pretty standard all across with the rest. 2 Happiness is crazy. Why am I not playing, for example, X Purrely Happiness? Because E Purrely Happiness just does the same thing but better for the most part. That's basically it. This effect is really mid, being able to detach and negate all of the currently face-up effect monsters your opponent controls. It kind of sucks. It's also, yes, technically unresponsive, like you can't respond to it, but your opponent can respond to the summon because it is not a quick effect, so who cares? It's just going to get shuffled away with Noir or something like that. Not really that great. I don't really see the purpose of playing this card. Anyway, moving on to the rest, we're playing Princess Sprite, which can mill the top card, which if it is a spell or trap, which there are a lot, you get to add it to your hand. Assembled for the Zeus, we're also playing Ensemble Blue, which is also very strong, because basically, if you don't want to go into one of your E-Purrelys, you can actually, or like if your effect gets negated, as long as you have 2 of your Purrelys, your level 1s, you can make the Ensemble Blue, and then you have 2 additional bounces, which is very strong. Oftentimes I would end on an Ensemble Blue after being negated with something like an Imperm and a Noir on the opponent's turn, which is very strong. So, there you go. We're also playing, of course, the Downerd and the Zeus. And then we're playing 2 links. The one is the Link Karibo. This could be Anima. No one is playing around, or no one is playing into the Anima, so it just came up where Link Karibo tended to be better. This would probably change with Kashtira becoming more prevalent, because they'd have more zones, or more monsters and more zones, so actually being able to steal a monster is more likely. But it's just kind of like, oh, are people going to play around the Anima? They probably are, so it's just better to play the Link Karibo. And then Donner, I already mentioned, is because if I take something, it's easier to link off the Donner instead of going for, like, the Azalea. I believe is what it's called. Azalea... What is the Link monster? This one. Yeah, Azalea. This one's very strong, don't get me wrong. Most of the time I was just like, oh, I just want to link off my opponent's monster into something, or like just get it off of the field, basically. And so Donner came up a little bit more often. Anyway, that's it for the deck. Let's hop into the replays and show you how this deck actually performed. Alright, so here we are going first with a hand. It's not great. It's not terrible, but it's not great. Because of driver, mostly. We're going to start off here with the Stray, to the which my opponent is going to reveal Maxi. And I go, okay, this is fine, we can play around this. That's fine. I'm just going to allow that to happen. We're going to go for the Happy Memory, targeting the Stray, and go for the Purrely. Purrely is going to add to the hand the My Friend Purrely, and now I'm going to triple tactics to look at my opponent's hand. So let's see what we reveal here, and it is a godlike hand. This hand is this hand is frustratingly insane. Dragon Ravine really does actually help this hand quite a bit, because it basically means that more or less whatever they do, they are going to have something that they are going to be able to do because of the Dragon Ravine. So no matter what I stop, no matter what I put back, yes, I could go like, oh, I'm going to put back the Dragon Ravine, but it's just not worth it. Either the Lubellion or the Wyver Burster still, does it. Saronir is really good here as well. Basically, just like anything that they draw into is frustrating, so I'm just like, okay, I'm going to put back the Wyver Burster and just hope that they don't have it. Anyway, we're going to go for the My Friend Purrely, activate the effect here, and we're going to reveal 3 cards. I actually reveal 2 Yeeps and a Lily, and the reason for this is because I want to be able to go Yeep on the opponent's turn. We're now going to go for the Purrely, and I'm actually going to go for Happiness here, and I know what you're saying. Why would we not go Delicious Memory? What are we doing? The main reason for this is because I'm just going to attach the Delicious Memory to the Happiness, and basically at this point, I don't really care about Plump. Like, yeah, I could go Plump here, but it's not really going to do much more, and it'd be kind of a waste of a material. And, like, yeah, I guess I could have gone Plump here. It doesn't really matter too much, because basically what I'm doing here is I'm going for the Pot of Greed line, which is we attach the Sleepy Memory, and then we have the Yeep during the opponent's turn, and I'll show you in a second. So we go to the standby phase, we activate our draw effect. They're going to go for the Saronir here, which is kind of interesting. I'm like, that's fine, whatever. Out comes the Saronir. That's fine. During the standby phase, we're going to draw a card, and then in the same standby phase, we're going to go for the Yeep here, and we're going to target the Happiness to go for the Noir. Now, Noir is a new monster, which means that we can also activate the effect of the Sleepy Memory, which also gives us an additional card. So now we've Pot of Greeded. We've drawn 2, and we can shuffle away this monster. And I know what you're saying, why not keep the unaffected guy? Well, because honestly, it doesn't matter whether it's affected or not. It's more important, at least in my eyes, to just deal with the card on field, right? Because, I mean, they'd get way too much advantage being able to go through basically their whole line. Like, I need to interrupt them. Anyway, they're going to go for the Bestial Lubellion. That's fine. They're going to grab the Magnemite. That's fine. And then, of course, they drew... I special summoned once. I special summoned 1 time. So they had 2 draws, and they find a normal summon. It didn't matter what the normal summon was, but that was a pretty good one. So out comes the Rocket Caliber, out comes Striker Dragon. I'm like, okay, I can't really do anything here, that's fine. Out comes the Boot Sector Launch. We know basically everything in their hand, for the most part, except for 1 unknown. I think there's 1 unknown thus far. So they're going to go for the Bestial Magnemite. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Again, nothing I can realistically do here. However, I do need to stop the Bestial Lubellion. I think that they get just too much advantage out of this. I'm like, I know what else that they have. It's just a bunch of Bestials. That's fine. And they decide, instead of targeting their own graveyard that I can't interact with, they're going to target my graveyard, which ends up helping me significantly. Because here we can go Yeep, and turn off one of their Bestials. So we're going to shuffle back that happiness and prevent the Bestial from coming down. So that's great. Out comes the Dragon Ravine. They're going to go Dragon Ravine. They're going to pitch to the graveyard the Baldrake. And then they're going to send the Absoritor. Absoritor is going to grab the Rocket Tracer, and then they're going to do the whole Rocket Tracer line. So there's that. We also don't know the last card in hand, so there's that. They're going to go for the Chaos Ruler here. They're going to activate the effect of Chaos Ruler. And, of course, the first card is Levianeer. Also, what the fuck is this? Oh, Lullaby of Obedience. What? Wild. Wyvern Burster, Collapse Serpent, and Evenly Matched. Literally 3 of the best reveals that they could have been. Levianeer clears my field here, and I can't really do anything about that. Collapse Serpent is just the best extension. Same with Wyvern Burster. So, yeah. Anyway, they're going to go for the Collapse Serpent, and then go into Azalea. Now, if you know what this card does, this seems like a good play, except for the fact that they only have 3 spells in grave. You need 4, because this card is very silly. If you have 3 or less spells in grave, send this card to the graveyard. Not, you need 3 or more. So, it actually just sends itself to the graveyard because they have exactly 3. But they deal with the My Friend Purrely, which means that now they can deal with the Noir, and I don't get any advantage back. Well, do you want to know what that last card in hand was? That's right, it was a quick launch. Incredible. Now they're going to Synchro off for the Borderload Savage Dragon. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Maybe I can deal with the Borderload Savage Dragon. Sure. I'm going to try and special summon. This is a mandatory effect, by the way. But they're going to negate with the Borderload Savage. They're going to walk in for 3750. And then Xyz into Zombie Vamp. Huh? What is happening? Out comes Baldrake. Okay, that's a little bit more annoying, but not really that big of a deal. And out comes the Chaos Ruler. They're going to link off for Dark. And now, once again, I do have Yeep, which is not a once per turn. Technically speaking, it's not a once per turn, which is very interesting, because it says you can only activate it once per turn, which this is in effect, which technically isn't activated. It's weird. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! Logic, but technically I can still activate this, even though I also activated the Yeep earlier. So, kind of weird, but they're going to target my Noir, and I'm going to go, no. And I'm going to shuffle back my monsters, and then they're going to pass on that with the Druis. So, there you go. Druis Worm in hand. I draw Brow, which is probably the best draw that it could have been. So, I'm going to go for the Sleepy Memory here, and special summon out the Purrely. We're going to go Brow, we're going to go Purrely, they're going to go for the Druis here, and I'm like, okay, this is fantastic, because Baldrake targets. You know what that means. Stray entirely prevents them from interacting at this point. So now I have access to the full OTK. I draw Maxi, which is very funny, but we're gonna reveal 3 cards. It's a Happy and 2 Delicious. So we end up getting the Delicious, which is great. Now we can go into Happiness. Now I'm going to show you the OTK and how to OTK your opponent. It requires Delicious and it requires a Happiness on your field. That's it. As long as you have Happiness with an attached Happy Memory, you basically have the OTK. You just need Delicious. You Delicious one of your opponent's monsters. You attach with Happiness, and then you attack a whole bunch of times. So what we're going to do, we're going to search out, we're going to grab the Happy Memory, we're going to have the attack, we're going to activate the Happy Memory, we're going to activate it to attach again, and now we have 2 additional attacks on monsters, because we have our first attack, and then we have 2 additional attacks on monsters, given the 2 Happy Memory that we have. We're also going to special summon here, and we grab another Happy Memory, because it's fantastic. So we're going to attack again. We're going to grab a second Delicious, for no real reason here. We can only attach 3 times, so do keep that in mind. We've already attached twice with the Delicious as well as the Happy, and we need to attach this 3rd Happy Memory to get enough damage in. So we're going to attach it again for the 3rd time, protecting another one of our cards, and then we're going to get an additional search, and then we're going to attack again. Now granted, you could also do this without relying on their attack position monsters. You can just attack defense position monsters and just gain a whole bunch of advantage. As you saw, I just searched out like 5 cards there. So yeah, that's also an option. So there you go. Good game. In no world should I have won that, but my opponent really threw that away. Alright, so here we are going second. Now, this hand isn't exactly the greatest because it kind of relies on Max C carrying us, or Gamma carrying us. But alas, my opponent is on Purrely, and we're going second. So I'm going to show you kind of how this matchup works going at second. My opponent is going to go for the Purrely, to the which I will promptly negate, because that is a pretty good negate, given the fact that Yeah, it's Purrely. It's Purrely. But yeah, now they're going to go for the Sleepy Memory and grab up the Purrely. Purrely effect is going to activate. This also forces them to play more heavily into the Max C, which is what I'm basically incentivizing here with the Gamma. Anyway, they're going to go for the second Sleepy Memory that they reveal off of the top, and then they're going to go and go into Pretty Memory, which allows them to go into Beauty. They're going to attach. They're going to then activate the Sleepy Memory and attach that as well. And now I have 5 cards, which is much better for my hand, because Maxi is a cool card. They're going to set 1 and pass. Away goes my hand. But that's fine. We still have the 5 cards, and we draw for turn. I'm going to activate the Maxi here. Reason being, I'm pretty certain that this is Yeep. I think they searched it off of the off of something. So there's that. But they're going to draw a card here off of their Sleepy. Anyway, we're going to go for the Stray Street, and then we are going to activate the My Friend Purrely and reveal 3 Delicious Memory. This then allows us to grab the Delicious. I'm just going to target their Beauty and special summon out the Lily. Lily effect to grab the Yeep, and we're going to activate the Yeep effect targeting the Delicious. Out comes Plump. Out comes the Plump. We're going to activate the Plump effect, and we're going to target their own Sleepy, and I was going to also target an additional card, but I misclicked, so, whoops, bad on my part. Out comes the Pretty Memory for the Purrely. We're going to reveal 3 additional cards. It doesn't really matter, because we didn't get anything. Now we're going to go and grab it, the Happiness. So, out comes Purrely Happiness, and notably, Noir does target. So that means if they do end up going for the Noir, they'd have to deal with the Street and then something else. So there's that. So my opponent's going to go for the Yeep here and go for a Noir. And then they're going to go and, of course, activate the Noir, go away Street, and then they're going to activate that and target the Plump. Now, here's the thing. Don't target Plump. Target the Happiness. The Happiness is actually going to do something. Plump is not. Plump ain't doing nothing there. He's just chilling, being a guy. I guess technically he makes a big Zeus, but that's not really that big of a deal when Happiness is about to get me way more cards, way more material, as well as just insane amounts of advantage. So there's that. To be fair, they were playing under Max E, but this still goes to show you what this what you can kind of do. We're going to go for the Happiness here. We're going to also attach an additional Happiness. And we're also going to bounce because, hey, this card bounces, if you didn't know. If it attaches a material, you can also return a spell trap your opponent controls to the hand. So we bounce the My Friend so that we can then deal with the Noir and not have them gain advantage. We're going to reveal 3 cards off of the Purrely that we summoned, and now we have the Pretty Memory. We're also going to go Delicious Memory, to which my opponent will actually chain their card in Grave to prevent me from activating the Purrely Happiness's attach effect. Did you know that this is a when effect and not an if effect, which means it has to specifically chain to the activation of the card and not just in general? So yes, if you have something, you can chain to the Purrelys to prevent them from attaching a card as material, which matters significantly with Happiness in particular. So do keep that in mind if you're playing against Purrely. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're going to special summon out the Purrely, and we have now made the Noir indestructible, which is great because that means we can do a whole bunch of attacks and actually deal or get a whole bunch of material. We reveal another Pretty Memory off of the Purrely, which is very funny. We're going to grab another Delicious Memory, and we're going to attach the Delicious Memory because we have an additional attack, or we still have an additional attack with the Happy. So we're going to go and grab another Happy, attach it again, and then we have a really big Happy. We're going to activate the Happy and grab a like 5th card, and then activate the Street, and at that point the game is over, and my opponent realizes it and concedes. Maxi, woohoo. Alright, and here we are going first with 2 Drolls. Now, I don't play Droll, so what's this doing in here? This was prior, when I was playing Droll. Honestly, I found Droll just to be too hindering. It doesn't play well with your own Max C, which is more detrimental to most people than Droll. So I just found it not really worth it. Maybe it'd be worth it with more than just Purrely playing into Droll, but most other decks didn't really care too much about Droll. So there's that. Yeah, I just cut it. I don't think it's worth it. And you'll see here why. But anyway, we're going to grab the street here, and then we're going to activate the My Friend, to which my opponent will chain the Maxi. Okay, well, I can't really do much about that. We're going to grab 3 Delicious. We're going to activate the Delicious and special summon out the Purrely. We're going to activate the Purrely effect and reveal a Sleepy Memory. That's pretty nice. So we're going to grab out that one. And then we're going to activate the effect of the Purrely and go into Plump. Now we can just activate our Street as well as the Sleepy to attach to the Plump. And then set 1 and pass. There's not really much more that we can do, but we do get to attach a second Sleepy Memory, and at this point, you should know that I basically get to draw 4 here, much like my opponent just drew 3. So we're going to draw 2, and then we are going to activate the Yeep, to which my opponent will activate their own Maxi, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. I could Maxi, or I could Droll here, but I don't know what my opponent is playing, so activating Droll here feels really bad, whereas activating Maxi feels like just better in general. So this is kind of why I'm not a fan of Droll, right? It's like, oh, I have Maxi, why not just use that? Or like other such hand traps. Droll can be a turn ender for specifically Purrely, but not really for many other decks. It kind of hurts some of the other ones, but not many. Anyway, I draw a second Maxi, so I'm like, yeah, I'll just fire the Maxi here. My opponent will then go for the Pretty Memory to special summon out the Purrely and activate, and grab up the My Friend. Out comes Street, and I'm like, that's fine. They then go for Pot of Desires, which is a very weird card to play in Purrely, but sure. I'm going to ash that pretty clearly. And again, I'm still just like, I could Droll. I could still Droll here. That's still an option. But I'm just like, no, I think just Maxi is just going to be better. They're going to reveal 3 cards, and they ended up grabbing the Sleepy Memory. Out comes the My Friend. They're going to activate the effect of My Friend, and I'm like, no. That's fine. Again, I don't really value as much having a big unaffected guy. If I could just stop my opponent from playing the game, that seems much better. At this point, I'm like, all right, I'll play around. I'm not going to play around triple tack. If they have triple tactics, they have it. There's not a whole lot that I can do. I feel like just giving them access to the My Friend is way worse. Yes, they could just go like Zeus here, but alas, it feels much stronger to go like this. And of course, they have the triple tack. And fine. Whatever. I'm going to actually, this is kind of interesting. I decided to actually get rid of the Pretty Memory in Grave so that their Purrely doesn't have a target, and I don't know if they have a target in hand. So I'm basically like, okay, if you don't have a target, the most you can do is like Zeus away the entire board. That's kind of it, which is frustrating, but at the very least I do have more or less full combo with Happy Memory. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. You can take my monster. That's okay, whatever. I'm going to get rid of this to make sure that you can't get additional bodies onto your side of the field to potentially go for that game. And of course, it ends up working. They go for the Princess Sprite. I draw an additional card off of the Maxi, and they're going to reveal Fenris. Cool. They're going to go to battle. They also didn't switch this guy to attack position for some reason. I guess the 1100 damage didn't matter to them. And out comes the Zeus. Sure, that's fine. I draw an additional card and it's deep. So honestly, yeah, Droll and Lockbird hasn't been very good, whereas Maxi has been great. I draw a Purrely, which isn't great, but whatever. They're gonna go for the double Zeus here, and of course, they do not play around the triple tack themselves. They're like, nah, it's fine. They just simply won't have triple tack, which surprisingly I don't. But that's not that big of a deal. Away goes the entire board. And now we just go for the full combo here. They're going to go and negate with the Veiler. And I'm like, again, that's totally fine. Out comes Happy. We're going to activate and go for the Purrely, or the Purrely. And then out comes the Happiness. Activate the, just go to battle. Happiness effect. Grab up the Delicious. We're going to change its stats. We're also going to make sure that I believe this guy can't be destroyed now. We're also going to special summon out the Purrely and reveal another Happy because we're just better like that. We're going to go for the Yeep here as well to put back a few of our cards. We're going to shuffle back those just so that we have more targets for this Happy. We're going to grab another Happy. We're also going to put this guy lower in attack points. And then at this point, my opponent concedes, realizing that the game is over because I just gained so much advantage off of the Happiness. So there you go. Good game. Alright, and here we are with my rank up game, and hey, look at that, it's Gamma in hand. I wanted to show you the game that I got to Master Tier 1 with, and out comes the Miscellaneous Source. Now, notably, Miscellaneous Source says, Dino Monsters you control. Now, notably, if it's in the grave, or if it's in the banished pile, you technically don't control the card. Which means we can Gamma this and prevent it from actually activating. My opponent sets 2 and passes. Fantastic Gamma. Now this Gamma can be just discard fodder. During the draw phase, I'm going to activate my Sleeping Memory, to the which my opponent will concede. I was trying to play around Droll there, and my opponent just didn't have it, so... Purrely. We're back with the deck, and the goodest of boys are, in fact, the goodest of boys as of right now. Now, with Arise Heart basically around the corner, and Kashtira more or less going to be at full power, is this deck going to still be able to compete? Yeah, it's probably going to be one of the only decks that can still compete, because, well, it does rely on the graveyard a little, it doesn't have to rely on the graveyard, and it has very many tech options. That sounded weird. It has a lot of space for additional tech cards, as you can see here. Lots of different areas for additional tech cards, like the triple techs, the gammas, the imperms, etc. On top of that, it is incredibly consistent and is one of the strongest decks currently in the game, even in like the TCG. And it's also missing a card, which we might get around the same time as the rest of the Kashtira cards. I don't expect that, but still, that's a possibility. Also, Noir is very strong, similarly to Arise Heart, and you can just, you know, shuffle away the Arise Heart, just go away, you know. Zeus lines are still incredibly powerful, and being able to go triple tactics into a Zeus is very strong. Happiness still allows you to OTK, even if your opponent has an Arise Heart. That's still a possibility. You could still just deal with it, or you could just gain the insane amount of advantage that you need off of the Arise Heart and stuff like that. Just lots of things like that. Mostly Book of Moon being more prevalent will probably hurt Purrely alongside the Kashtira stuff, but it's not like Kashtira is really doing anything too consistently as well, so sometimes they're not even going to be able to attain Arise Heart and the like. So, alas. Yeah, all in all, I think that this deck is very good. I think it's still very strong and is going to be very strong even after the Kashtira stuff comes out. And yeah, it's also very fun to play. It's very rewarding, but also very difficult to play. But yeah, that's basically it. And also, the goodest of boys. If you did indeed enjoy this video, a like is very much appreciated. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh!, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.